Okay, let's see. Your turn. Access the data in the DOB column of the data frame from the previous question. Okay, so from 14. Okay, we did 14 somewhere over here. Let's take a look at what we have in 14. Okay, so question 14, we have DOB and we have DFQ13. DFQ13 is the data frame. Okay, if you ran all the code above like I asked you to, then you will have it here, DFQ13. Okay, so that's the data frame that we're going to use to answer questions in question 15 and 16. Okay. So we want to access this column. So how are we going to do that? How do you access a column? So you put the name of the data frame, then you can do it two different ways, right? One is with a dot .dob. This will work only if the object name is a valid Python name, which in this case is. DOB is a valid Python name, so it's going to work. Okay. Or you can use DFQ13. Now this convention will work for all names. Okay, so you can do it this way, or you can do it this way. Okay, so did you try? Make sure that you try and that it works. So is everybody okay with it? All right. Now 16, add a column for smoker status 0 or 1 with Boolean as data type. So here is the list. So we have 7 numbers of data. So that's what we have. We have 7 rows of data. So we want to add this column, right? So DFQ13. So to add the column, you have to give a name for that new column, right? So just make a name up, and of course that name should be within quotation mark, and it should be within square brackets. So say smoker. All right. Now we want we can do this in a couple of different ways. You can simply do you can add that as a list. Okay. But then if you add this as a list, what will happen is, okay, Pandas is going to try to figure out what the data type is. And this is 0 and 1 are whole numbers, so the default data type is going to be integer. So it will go in as an integer data type. But we want Boolean data type. So what you have to do is to be able to specify data type. You can always do it after the fact, but if you want to do it at the time of inserting the column, you can change the list into a Pandas series. In Pandas series, you can specify the data type, right? So here we could say PD series, okay, and then you can specify D type equal to bool. So bool is Boolean, okay. Let me do it like this. Okay. Now I don't have a closing parenthesis there, so that's a reason for error. All right. So we'll do an info in just a second. And B is add a list of numbers as numCal. Okay, so that's the name that we want to use. It's just a list of numbers. So you don't have to specify a data type. So what we can do is dfq13 Now I'm going to just copy paste those numbers. So it's just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7. You can use the range. So I'll put that into a list. Okay. So now that's going to, so it has 7 numbers and there are 7 rows. So that's going to go in as a new column, right? All right. Now C is add a column for age as of now. Well, before that, let's see what we have so far. dfq13.info. Okay. So smoker has gone in as a Boolean, so because you're saying data type is bool, and then numCal has gone in as an integer. So that's good. Okay. Now C is a little more involved. What we want here is, okay, so we have date of birth. From date of birth, we want to calculate the age and put that into a new column. Okay. All right. So how are we going to do this? Okay. So we want the age right now. So, and then the date of birth is a date time object. So we can find the difference between the current date, right? So let's say C is PD dot timestamp dot now. Okay, so that will be the timestamp right now. Okay. So now if you take the difference between C and dfq13, dfq13.dob, okay. So that will be the difference between now and the date of birth. Okay, so that's the time range. Now we have to convert that into years. That will be your age, right? Now we already have a object created which is days per year. Okay, earlier in the previous problem we calculated that time delta. So let's go look for it. Okay, so there it is. So days per year, we do this as a time delta. Time delta 1 day and multiply by the number of days per year. And again, this is approximation, number of days per year. You can Google to see what the most accurate value. So this is the number of days. This represents 1 year in days, in a time range. Okay. So that's what we have to use here. So you divide by days per year. Okay. Now, of course, if you do that, then you're not going to have age as a whole number. It's going to have a decimal part, right? So if you want to get rid of the decimal part, then what should you do? You can use the NumPy function, npfloor. So the np.floor, that will give you dfq13. So